I never thought my marriage would die in a sun-drenched loft in Lisbon, but that's exactly where it happened, inside a stranger's apartment while my husband laughed in fluent Portuguese and assumed I was still the same clueless wife he'd trained for 17 years. My name is Clara Moreau now, though back then I answered to whatever tone Marcus decided to use. For nearly 2 decades I'd perfected the art of disappearing in plain sight. I spoke when spoken to, smiled on cue, and kept every opinion folded so small it fit inside the pocket of his certainty. Marcus ran a successful import business, traveled constantly, and believed the world worked best when he was the one turning the dials. My part-time bookkeeping gig at a local nonprofit barely covered the groceries, and he never let me forget it. Suggestions I made about vacations, furniture, even what to watch on television, were met with the same indulgent eye roll usually reserved for children asking why the sky is blue. Over time I stopped asking. I simply shrank. The unraveling began with a late-night whim. An ad for a Portuguese language app flashed across my screen while Marcus snored beside me. I downloaded it on impulse, the way someone might buy a lottery ticket just to feel something. 10 minutes a night became 20, then 40. I practiced with the lights off and earbuds in, mouthing conjugations while he slept. It was the first thing in years that belonged entirely to me. I hid the app in a folder labeled tax documents and told no one, especially not him. Then came the apartment. Marcus burst into our bedroom one Tuesday waving his phone like a winning hand. I found it, he announced. Top-floor loft in Belém, Riverview, owned by some Portuguese architect moving back to Porto. We're seeing it tomorrow. He didn't ask if I had plans. He never did. The building smelled of sea air and fresh plaster. The owner, Tomás Almeida, greeted us with quiet courtesy and a grip strong enough to remind you. The world still contained decent men. Marcus immediately switched to effortless Portuguese, the language he'd picked up on business trips while I stayed home managing spreadsheets and silence. I lingered near the hallway mirror, pretending to study my reflection and let the words wash over me. Tomás apologized for the half-packed boxes. Marcus waved it off and began translating, for my benefit, he thought, in the blandest possible terms. When Tomás praised the light, Marcus said it was fine. When Tomás mentioned the friendly neighbors, diplomats, artists, a retired judge, Marcus reduced them to normal people. Every compliment was trimmed, every flaw exaggerated. He was curating reality the way he'd curated our entire life. Then they reached the kitchen island, and Tomás lowered his voice the way men do when they think no woman is listening. You could register it in your name only at first, he told Marcus in rapid Portuguese. Simpler taxes. Many couples do it this way. Marcus laughed, soft and conspiratorial. She wouldn't even notice. Clara still thinks mortgage is something that happens to other people. I handle everything. Always have. The room tilted. My pulse filled my ears like surf. I kept my face blank, but inside something ancient snapped awake. The drive home was quiet except for Marcus humming Fado tunes he suddenly considered himself an expert on. When we stepped inside our apartment, he made a beeline for the couch and the remote. I stood in the doorway longer than usual. We need to talk, I said. He sighed the sigh of a man perpetually interrupted by lesser beings. Can it wait till the match is over? No. The remote froze midair. He wasn't used to that tone from me. I asked whose name he intended to put on the title. He lied smoothly, both of course. I repeated Tomása's exact words back to him in perfect Portuguese. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might faint. You speak Portuguese, he whispered, as if language were the real betrayal. The fight was ugly, loud, and mercifully brief. He shouted about money, about gratitude, about how I'd never survive without him. I didn't shout back. I simply refused to fold. When he demanded to know what I wanted, I told him the truth. I wanted out. He left that night, suitcase slamming like punctuation. The door had barely closed before I was on the phone to Tomás. I understood everything I said without preamble. A long exhale on the other end. I wondered. You had the look my sister wore for years. He paused. The loft is still available. I can hold it. And Clara? The price just dropped. I took the loft. I took the new job that required fluent Portuguese. I took the settlement that finally acknowledged 17 years of invisible labor. And one Thursday evening, 6 months after the keys were mine, a quiet knock sounded at my door. When I opened it, a man with kind eyes and paint under his fingernails smiled. "Hi, I'm Leo from 12B. I borrowed your mail by mistake and, well, I made pastel de nata as an apology. Thought you might want one while it's still warm." I laughed for the first time in what felt like forever. Some endings arrive with screaming and slammed doors. Mine arrived with custard tarts and the soft clink of possibility. And for the first time in 17 years, I wasn't afraid to open the door.